So what does the designation of the Resistance Front as a foreign terrorist organization actually mean? What does it entail? What if the TRF calls itself, let's say from tomorrow, Pakistan Peace Foundation, and then continues to spread terror? Because terrorist organizations have repeatedly changed their name in Pakistan, they continue to spread terror. And does this smack of US double standards? Ban the TRF and yet sup with the devil, Field Marshal Asim Munir? Let's try and make sense of these developments and, of course, discuss the road ahead for India in our war on Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Joining me on this India First special broadcast is General Atta Hasnain, former General Officer Commanding of the Kashmir Corps. He's someone who's dealt with Pakistan terror firsthand. Ambassador Kamal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary of India. He's also been India's ambassador to Russia, Turkey, Egypt and France. Sir, welcome. Also with us from the United States is Professor Andrew Latham, Professor of International Relations at the Macalester University. He's an expert analyst on international relations, regional conflict and security. Ambassador Sibal, how should India view this designation of the Resistance Front as a foreign terrorist organization and the timing of this designation?
Well, it's a bit surprising because while the United States and others, including China, condemned the attack in Pahalgam, but they did not name the Resistance Front as responsible for this, much less acknowledging that the Resistance Front actually was Pakistan-based. In the UN Security Council, the Pakistanis claim, perhaps not wrongly, that there was an initiative to name the Resistance Front, but they got the name eliminated because of its linkage with Pakistan. At the same time, as you have rightly pointed out, notwithstanding what happened in Pahalgam, and the fact that we have a mullah, a rabid Islamist, as now the Field Marshal of Pakistan, he was invited to a special lunch by President Trump, who praised the leadership of Pakistan, knowing and in fact acknowledging that the real leadership was the military leadership. So in that sense, he was absolving Field Marshal Munir and the Pakistan Army and Pakistan itself in general from any responsibility for what happened at Pahalgam. Now you have the Resistance Front being designated as a terrorist organization and a internationally designated group, which is good, which puts pressure on Pakistan because the subtext is known to all that this organization is based in Pakistan. So without naming Pakistan, the message is clear, which is why the Pakistani Foreign Ministry has reacted extremely sharply. In fact, the tone is despicable. I mean, calling India a rogue nation and saying that we are going to exploit this designation to our ends, and saying that Pakistan has zero tolerance of terrorism and complete nonsense like that.
No, that's a
because
farce.
lying is their second nature. Now,
absolutely.
The other point which we must note is, without getting too enthusiastic about this, though we must welcome this, is that it's not as if this is the first time terrorist organizations in Pakistan have been designated as international terrorist organizations and individuals too by the relevant UN committee. This has been going on for years. But has that ended terrorism in Pakistan, or has that led to Pakistan being declared some sort of a terrorist state or sanctions on Pakistan? Yes, they were put on the FTF, but they were removed from the FTF. Now, this will give us a handle, actually, what has happened, is to again demand that we put back on the FTF and therefore exploit it as much as we can. But we should not get enthusiastic as if naming this organization solves a terrorist problem, because Pakistan, as from the statement you can see, is totally in denial. Totally in denial.
It
and
indeed
unless
is,
there
Professor
real
Latham.
pressure put on them, they're not going to back off.
Professor Latham, there are commentators in India who say that US action actually smacks of double standards and blatant double standards. They designate TRF a terrorist organization and yet they sup with Pakistan's terrorist-in-chief Asim Munir. Pakistan Army, as you well know, is the fountainhead of terror and has been involved in the killing of American troops in Afghanistan.
Yes, and I think we need to bear in mind that there are multiple and cross-cutting and sometimes incompatible interests that the Trump administration is pursuing. On the one hand, there's a residual counter-terrorism, 9/11 thing. That's dropped way down in terms of American foreign policy priorities in recent years, but it's still there. And so what's one motivator. Another motivator is to avoid a nuclear war on the subcontinent. And you know how President Trump thinks, the art of the deal. He wrote a book, or it was ghostwritten for him, I suppose. And the logic, you think he would have been disabused of this logic given his interactions with Vladimir Putin. But his approach seems to be, let's be friends, let me be buddies with everybody around the table, even if they've committed crimes and they're on the wrong side. I can do a deal with them. So there's a little bit of that going on. Thirdly, I think there's a third or fourth. The United States really, really wants Pakistan to be on Team USA. But more than that, it wants India to be on Team USA in the global struggle, great power competition with China. And so you can see how these are cross-cutting imperatives, and they're not easily reconciled. And it looks like hypocrisy. And in fact, it's caused the wheels of government to grind even more exceedingly slowly than they usually do. This government has taken, what, 3 weeks, a month to issue this statement. But it's not at all surprising to me. Maybe it's because I'm an immigrant to this country and I see it through the same eyes as you guys do from the outside, even though I'm on the inside. It's very hard to reconcile all of these. The scary piece in all of this is we learned some lessons during the Cold War. The US and the Soviet Union fought proxy wars, but they never, ever, ever attacked each other. They never did that. No US soldier, there were movies about this, Hunt for Red October and things like that, but they
Yes.
never did it because it could easily spiral out of control. And that's what two countries that are a world apart, the Soviet Union and the United States, are not neighbors. They're not neck and neck the way India and Pakistan are. And so Pakistan's, with government support, the LET and then TRF, its proxy, perpetrating these attacks in a very sensitive part of the subcontinent, as you and your viewers know, is begging for escalation that could
And yet
easily
India end. was able to control it, because I
Yes.
don't want the world to continue falling for this nuclear escalation bogey. That's a Pakistan trap. And under which Pakistan continues to spread terror, and Operation Sindoor would have disabused the world, one would have thought. But